Welcome back, guys. I'm Brian. Thanks for joining. Today, this just happened. Pretty interesting. As you can see, Haiti, voodoo attracting more believers as gang violence surges. I don't know how I feel about this one, but for historical context, the people of Haiti were one of the first black republics in the world, as in like the former slaves who were able to gain their own independence before any other African nation out there was able to do so. And voodoo came about is obviously was a West African religious faith, and they obviously took that with them during the whole slave being enslaved. Took it with them where they went, and at the moment it's a mix of some Christian things here and there with some voodoo practices as well. So it's a mix of both Christian and African animalistic beliefs. So it's quite interesting. So these people are obviously turning to voodoo as a way to obviously try and like resolve issues over there in their own country, as gang violence has skyrocketed, causing obviously communities to suffer as a result of that, people getting kidnapped or worse. So tell me what you think about this one. I don't know how I feel about it. It scares me a bit. So moving on now to the Ivory Coast. So as you can see from the title, Ivory Coast Summit coordinates road maintenance investment strategy. So this is a pretty interesting thing that's happening here. It says a collective action on investment is needed to raise the quality of African road network. This was one of the recommendations at the official opening ceremony of the 21st General Assembly of the Association of African Road Maintenance Funds that took place Monday in Ivory, in the Ivorian capital. So this is a really important one right here that's happening. It's important because as you might already know, and if you didn't know, Africa has some of the worst road infrastructure networks in the world. And that has been one of the biggest things that is stopping commerce from happening within our own borders easily and within the African continent easily, because we don't really have a well-connected continental road network, let alone our own country per country independent functioning road networks. So this is quite critical, and tell us what you think, because being someone from Zimbabwe, our road networks there are quite atrocious. Check out these pictures. This is like typical of what had been happening in Zimbabwe for decades now, because of the lack of funding, which results in the roads just being dilapidated. Everything that's required to build and maintain any of these roads requiring foreign currencies like US dollars to be able to purchase items from overseas, to bring them over and then to do anything about it. It's quite important. This will be like the most positive step in the right direction to kind of force all governments in Africa to have a fund, and have this fund to be able to build and maintain our own networks.
Collective action on investment is needed to raise the quality of the African road network. This was one of the recommendations at the official opening ceremony of the 21st General Assembly of the Association of African Road Maintenance Funds that took place in Abidjan, the Ivorian capital. It is to have a positioning that allows all African countries to have at least one road maintenance fund that meets the standards. Why not one like Ivory Coast? In other words, positioning at the level of the African Union. Decisions can be taken hard enough to say that from now on, all member countries will have a road maintenance fund of such and such standard. With an investment of over $5 million for a linear road network of 82,000 kilometers, Ivory Coast was described as one of the African countries with a vast road network. Our road network comprises 5,000 kilometers of urban roads and just over 200,000 kilometers of unclassified rural roads. These dense road networks represent 40% of the West African Economic and Monetary Union road network. This gives us one of the highest road coverage rates in the sub-region. Experts say the continent's road infrastructure deficit creates increased production and transaction costs that must be addressed to scale opportunities.
So currently, as it stands, it seems like the Ivory Coast is probably has the most developed road infrastructure in Africa, comprising of about 5,000 urban roads and just over 200,000 kilometers of unclassified rural roads. And this whole road network accounts for about 40% of Western African Economic and Monetary Union road network. So pretty much that really says it all. Having such a great network allows for commerce to take place and businesses to thrive. So we desperately need this. Quite important. So now cut to the next topic. This one is a bit closer to home in Zimbabwe. For those who didn't know, there's a 5 megawatt mini hydro plant being built in Lake Mutirikwi in Masvingo, Zimbabwe. So this is more positive news on the African continent. This is quite interesting. I'm very excited for this one. This will bring a lot of jobs within the Masvingo region and bring us more electricity in our country. We are hungry and desperate for more and more electricity. We have such a huge deficit on how much electricity we're producing versus how much electricity demand there is. If you didn't know, we had been struggling with electrical production for years and years now. Many communities going with blackouts for extended periods of time, tens of hours, long periods of time. And all this was to do with like all the legacy infrastructure that we had, which was poorly maintained. And as a result of that, just things broke eventually. And we're now at a phase where the country is trying to really push and rebuild as quickly as possible. And this is one of the most positive things that's happening right now. So that's it for this short update. Tell us what you think in the comments. Let's get talking, and please subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. See you next time. Peace.